Al-Tira Abdi Yaakov, says the Torah. Don't be afraid, Jacob. And yet that could be the subtext or the subtitle of this week's Torah portion, Shelach Lecha, where Moses sends out a representative of each one of the tribes of Israel to look at the land and to determine how habitable it was. And the spies went and they looked and they came back with a report that was beyond belief, that everything was larger than life. You've seen the pictures of those massive grapes held between staves that they brought back. Each one of the grapes was as large as a person's head. The land itself was so pregnant with life and power. They could feel it pulsate through the ground, through their feet, and through their very selves. And the people that lived there themselves, too, were beyond belief. Giants they were. We looked like gnats in their eyes, they said. Have you ever heard such a thing? We look like gnats in their eyes? How did they know that they looked like gnats to the people that looked at them? Were they that big? Could they read into the minds of the people who lived in Canaan at the time? No. Obviously not. They were full of fear. Fear was overwhelming for them. After having come through the desert for such a very long time, with the promise of freedom looming right in front of their eyes, it was too much for them. And they were fragmented and they fell apart. They complained to Moses, it would have been better if that we died in Egypt. Let's elect a new leader, somebody who will keep us safe. What a disappointment that was. And it resonates very powerfully with the times in which we're living right now, because we live at a time of fear. We live in a time when we're unsure of where we stand, when anti-Semitism is growing exponentially. We live in a time of fear where we wonder about the government and how it is operating and whether it's operating in its maximum capacity or whether the fragmentation of Congress is so awful that it doesn't allow for democracy to happen in the way that our fathers and mothers had hoped that it would. But the lesson is powerful and poignant. Fear should not deter us from going forward. Fear should not determine our fate. Fear and looking into the blank stare of our own imagination, thinking that we can never possibly get through this land because it's too big for us, it's too massive, we can never overtake it, will ultimately be our downfall. Fear is our greatest enemy. Al-Tira Abdi Yaakov. Jacob, do not be afraid. Go forward. Continue in the right direction. Do the right thing. Don't lose faith. Do these things, own them yourself, and you find that the future doesn't look so bleak. The giants no longer perceive you as an act, or in your own imagination, that they look at you as insignificant. But rather, it's an equal playing field, everything's level. Don't lose faith, never lose hope. That's what our faith is all about, isn't it, Judaism? That's what the covenant is all about. We're here. We're not going anywhere. Shabbat Shalom.